And I'd like to welcome Antoinette again to Argo, and thank you for everyone that's joining us this afternoon, even though it's after school and it's getting close to holiday time. And we're looking forward to learning about me mapping and oral language development. So thank you so much, Antoinette.
Hi, everyone. And I wanted to mention for those who just joined now that my colleague who has worked with me on me mapping is with us today as well. You want to just say hi, Emmanuel?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I've had the amazing chance to work with Antoinette and to go to classrooms with her and some of the students that you will see today. I interviewed personally, so it was it's a memory that I will never forget. So I really would like to encourage you to participate.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So always acknowledging the land on which we find ourselves. I know that we're across the province. I'm in Toronto, and the university operates on the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas. And this is still the meeting place and home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're always grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Our research that led to the development of me mapping pedagogy was supported by two different grants that are federal, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada. And as you can see from this photograph, a large number of different people have been involved with the development of me mapping and also the various research and production stages that led to the finished website. Emmanuel, myself, and two colleagues developed a video introduction, which I won't show to you today, but I wanted to draw your attention to it. It is embedded on the website, and links are available as we go through. So this is kind of a summary of what I'm going to be presenting today and an intro to the website so you can go back to it.
What is me
whoops,
mapping?
we'll pass that, sorry. So me mapping activities are focused on English learners' identities and their experiences and perspectives on the world around them. Students explore their linguistic repertoire, important milestones in their lives, their multiple identities, their experiences at school, their hopes and aspirations for the future. And what's really wonderful is that me mapping pedagogy combines a focus on language proficiency development and multimedia artifacts using Flipgrid. Flipgrid has been an extremely useful app. It's in fact available on any one of the types of devices that you may have access to: computers, tablets, mobile phones. And it's really a discussion app that we've adapted to our purposes. We used it for our research, but you can still adopt me mapping pedagogy in your classes without necessarily using Flipgrid. Lots of different big ideas from big thinkers have inspired me mapping pedagogy, all the way back to Paulo Freire in 1970 with his notions of humanizing pedagogy. They incorporate some of the ideas of Jim Cummins around transformative multi-literacies pedagogy and literacy engagement frameworks. And more recently, you've begun hearing a lot about translanguaging pedagogy, and certainly it incorporates some of the important notions from that, as well as an older concept that was presented by Keats and his colleagues, the notion of mutual vulnerability between students and teachers and among students in classrooms. Our research involved 110 5 to 19-year-olds, and we worked collaboratively with individuals in different parts of Ontario. We worked with 3 NGOs and several schools in the GTA. This slide shows you the wide range of participants and the kinds of programs in which they were enrolled, the places where they have lived, and the languages that they speak. So essentially, our multilingual learners in Ontario. And what was exciting was having the opportunity to experience me-mapping pedagogy in a variety of contexts. With some of our participants, we actually worked with them in their homes, as you can see from these photographs. We also worked within the framework of settlement or community agencies, as you can see in these photos. And in several cases, we were welcomed into classrooms in middle and elementary, middle, or secondary school. You can see here on one teacher's board how she integrated me-mapping right into the school day. So what happens in a me-mapping workshop? It's not so different from what we might do in any lesson where we have a kind of warm-up or pre-activity. We have the main menu and then the follow-up. Here we can see some of the students getting ready for the main element, which is recording their videos. So we can actually now see through these illustrations how learners will, after they're ready to focus on a particular topic, they'll work in pairs or small groups to record their responses to Flipgrid prompts. The teacher would provide feedback as necessary. The learners will take turns being videographers or directors or actors, as you can see here. And what's great about the Flipgrid app is that students can review their videos and decide whether they want to record their responses again. So when it comes to oral language development, what we saw was a huge increase in confidence because there were so many iterations of being able to practice and share from sort of the rehearsal to the actual videotaping and reviewing. The learners use materials that they've created, such as timelines or language portraits, as part of their responses. So they've got some props to help them because public speaking, and especially being videotaped while you're talking, can be sometimes a little bit scary. Now, what we did in our research was that we took all the videos that had been created with each child over a period of several months, and we created an integrated me-map video of them. So here you can see one child on 3 different occasions, and these have led to one of the pages on our website where you can find about 40 integrated me-maps. So you probably wonder, okay, so exactly how does this work? So I thought it would be good to provide some examples of me-mapping activities and videos. To support you, we've created an easy-to-use teacher's guide, which is embedded in our me-mapping site. And here you can see some miniatures of it. with various themes and detailed resources to support you, everything from the prompts you would need to the preparation activities and the follow-up. And then anything that you might want to print out, we've also included in Blackline master format. So here are some of the themes that, we've highlighted. These are all up on the site already. And to give you a sense of what a prompt is, you can see various members of our team, and each one of us has taken turns videotaping our own answers to the kinds of questions that we've used as prompts related to these different topics. So one example in the linguistic portraits might be to use a video such as this one as a warm-up.
Hello. Namaste.
Sayonara.
Arrivederci. You can either say g'day, kia ora, what's up, what's going on, big up yourself, hey buddy, what's going on, or you say hi go, or go.
So after that, the students would brainstorm. And when they do a brainstorm, as you can see here with some of the younger students, it can involve drawing, writing, reading, and so on. We see how the students are creating their language portraits here. And this is an example of one of our team members and a prompt where she has quickly created her own little linguistic portrait. And this prompt is available on the website. But when we were doing our research, we embedded the prompt in Flipgrid for easy use with the students. And here are some photos of some of our younger students, participants' prompts, not prompts, language portraits. And here are some excerpts from an integrated video of Zakia. And you'll see that in all the videos we have subtitles. So let's just listen to her a little bit and see what she says.
This is my picture. This is the languages I speak. Farsi, English, and Arabic. I listen to songs. So on my ear and here in my ears, it's purple because I listen to Arabic songs. On my head, it's Farsi because I speak Farsi. And here is English. It's blue because in school I speak English most of the time. So here is my hands are blue because
We'll move on to another example, but she does continue a little bit.
This is my picture.
This is Akifa, and this is her explanation of her language portrait.
Hi everyone, my name is. Today I'm going to show you this picture. Okay, so I picked 3 languages that I speak mostly every day. So I put like green for like Farsi. Like I speak Farsi with my friends, and they're also from my country, and they speak Farsi. So I speak Farsi like let's say sometimes. And I speak Pashto because I speak Pashto with my family, and it's my main language. So I love Pashto. And English, it's my favorite language, and I speak it with my teachers, I speak with my friends, I speak with everyone mostly. And I put the hearts here because these 3 languages mean all to me, and I love them all.
Thank you, Akifa. Another example of a different identity-focused activity that can feed into a student's MeMap would be that of a timeline, where students are invited to create a timeline of events in their lives, to think about things they enjoyed, and they can even include aspirations and future events. So students are encouraged to be creative with visuals, to think about how they represent themselves and reflect on their journeys. So in this case, I created my own timeline, and the prompt that you see an image of here is embedded in Flipgrid to give the students a sense of how they might introduce their timeline. So,
hi everyone. Here's my timeline. I decided to put.
So I won't continue, but it gives you a sense of them, and all these are again available on the website. Here are some examples of students, a student's timeline with ups and downs and various little images. So this is what the flipped grid prompt would look like. You would be able, if you were in a small group or a pair, together you could listen to my example, and you could then read the questions. This is a third example where the focus here is imagining yourself in 10 years. We always provide both a written cue as well as an oral cue for the students, and we then can see how easy it is for them to respond in Flipgrid. They simply click on the green circle and they can rehearse and actually record their video. Here's an example of Abiha's response to the prompts.
My goal is when I grow up to be a teacher. I just like to teach other people how to speak the way like my other teacher taught me how, or the way they teach me how to speak English and everything. I just like to tell people and teach people the way that my teacher taught me when I came to Canada. And I hope all the teachers that they teach me are like my teachers before.
And another example that always brings a smile to my face is Adela, who talks about where she imagines herself in 10 years.
Today I'm going to talk about for imagine yourself in 10 years. Okay. I will be live with my parents, with my family, in Canada, here in Mississauga. Then I want to complete my university. Then I want to be a pediatrician, a baby doctor, because I love helping children, kids, because I feeling better when I help children and kids. And then I work baby doctor, pediatrician. Then I will go to married and have a husband. And then I tell my husband to move in Australia because it's my favorite country. And what kind of activity I will do enjoyment, like reading a story, reading a book, like singing, dancing, swimming, surfing. I love all of this and it's very fun. And thank you for watching for this video.
So you can see, although Adela had only been in Canada for a few months when we first met her, how motivated she was by this whole me mapping process and how much wonderful oral language she was able to develop and use. This example from Khaled shows us two takes of what he said, and we included both takes because it was interesting to see in the rehearsal process the different goals that he had for himself in 10 years.
So hi guys, my name is. So after 10 years, I'm gonna talk after 10 years what I'm gonna be. So after 10 years, I'm gonna be 22 years old. And I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel, right now, because I'm 12 years old. I have a YouTube channel. When I grow up, I'll buy new things and make good videos. And this is my thing. My name is. I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna be in 10 years. In 10 years, I'm gonna be 22 years old, and I wanna be mechanic, fixing thing and to fix the stuff.
So he has a good backup plan, YouTuber and or mechanic or both.
So hi guys.
Sorry. And here's another example of Wasim telling us about where he imagines himself in 10 years.
10 years from now to after there's something, I'm gonna be 22 years old and I'm gonna probably be in school because I'm not gonna get out of school because my parents will kill me if I do it. And maybe I'll be a engineering doctor. I don't know what I'm gonna be. I still have plans. And that's it. Hi guys, my name is. Hi, my name is.
And as I mentioned, we have worked with a lot of students across different contexts. And what we've done is we've taken all the different videos and integrated these into full me maps for each child. So if you go on the site, you'll find these maps. And as you go through them, you'll see that there are different lengths. Shazi's is 6 minutes long, and we can see Shazi talking about a number of different topics. We have little headers that allow you to see what he's talking about. And we've divided our videos into sort of different age groups. So Shazi's part of our youngest participant group. And we have Malik, who's an example of a participant in our middle group. And similarly, if you click on his integrated video, you'll see it's 5:45.
I want to play for Brazil. Second thing, in Canada now.
So you can see he talks, and he can actually benefit from reviewing the full map to see how he's progressed over time. So in this particular case, for example, Malik, Emmanuel and I worked with these children over a period of about 6 months. So as we look at the various clips, we can see the oral language evolving. Sorry. And then finally, our participant Simon is an example of a participant from our oldest age group. And if you click on his, you can see the video is about 7 minutes long. And again, you can see him talking about a variety of topics. And we found the content of the me maps really very rich. We can see how our multilingual learners use their various languages in their repertoire across the multiple worlds in which they live. We can get a sense of their experiences and perspectives on the world around them. And we learned a lot about sort of this pedagogy in the workshops. And there were a number of things that weren't entirely surprising. For example, some of our younger students really needed a lot of scaffolding, moving from preparation to video to actually working in small groups to produce a video in response to prompts and so on. We also learned that our tweens and teens were more self-conscious and that they needed sometimes a little bit of support at the beginning to talk about their, sorry about the phone in the background. They needed more, if you wish, sometimes encouragement because they were a bit shy or reluctant to video, but they all had favorites, and we learned that they loved doing the language portraits, and that for some topics like the timeline might be a bit unsettling because of some of the activities or experiences that they were revisiting. But on the whole, the response was very positive. Students and teachers alike felt, I guess, a sense of growth and warmth through this. So me mapping pedagogy was a catalyst for learning and growth. We could see how multilingual learners could take control of their learning, how they were very motivated because they could see that others would, in their class, in their group, would be viewing their work. And it created this very positive mutual vulnerability and respect amongst participants. And it led to a sense of solidarity, which emerged in the classroom setting. So implications for the classroom is that we really want to embrace humanizing pedagogy and focus on identity-focused activities and provide lots of scaffolding and support so that students can do this. And I just wanted to open a little window and say that in collaborating with teacher candidates, educators in various environments, and the multilingual learners, that we experienced this amazing importance of, sorry, my phone is ringing again. We've experienced the importance of this notion of developing mutual vulnerability. And we've been pushed to reflect about how we actually go about moving from exclusion to inclusion across our elementary, secondary schools, colleges, and universities. And we've often thought back to the words of Gagné, who said in 29, that friendships grow between people of different backgrounds and cultures because they meet as persons, not necessarily because they share the same heritage. So we're going to leave you with that thought. And once again, want to acknowledge all the different people who made me mapping possible. And we want to encourage you to visit the website, which I will now just show you as we exit, because I know our time is up. I just need to make one, there we go. So this is our Me Mapping with Multilingual Learners website. There's a general introductory video, but the video that I was talking to you about, you can find here embedded with an explanation of how the workshops work. And then for all of the activity guides, you can look under guides for teachers, and as promised, everything is embedded here. And we also created resources for teacher leaders or teacher educators who might want to embed Me Mapping pedagogy into their own work with pre-service education or in-service PD activities. And once again, you can download all of the materials that you need right here. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to the whole group as it's 4 o'clock, and wonder if there's any questions. Emmanuel and I would be happy to respond. I know that some of you have to leave, but if you've got questions, yes, we'll put the link in right now. Emmanuel, can you do that for folks? Can you put the link in the chat?
Sure.
Thanks. Anything else that you're wondering about? Somebody has their hand up?
Colleen, do you have a question?
I do. Thanks for the presentation. The activity looks really great. I'm curious to know, because I see that you did it with like younger students who are age 6. One thing that's kind of, and the whole thing kind of reminded me of when we're thinking about our kindergarten MLs and how do we identify, one thing that we've been talking a lot about is how do we, just when we're talking about our multilingual learners, how do we distinguish which are going to be ELLs and they're going to benefit from ELL programs? And would you see Me Mapping as a really good, as potentially a tool to get information so that we are making informed decisions about who we identify as ELLs? Because that's, I mean, I think it goes out saying that our MLs are not a monolithic group, and, you know, well, harm by identifying them as ELLs.
Yeah, we certainly learned a lot about the children we were working with. The younger children that we worked with came to us through a settlement organization, either during the summer months or on Saturdays during the school year. And so we weren't working with them alongside a regular classroom teacher, but rather we were a group of educators and volunteers. And we were astounded by how much we did learn about them, not only as little humans who have, you know, already experienced a journey to get to where they are, but also in terms of their language development. And of course, because we were working with a very diverse group, we could see definitely that different children had reached different stages. And so, yes, the resulting, I guess, videos did point us to students who would need a whole lot more scaffolding and support at school. One of the functions of Flipgrid allows you to have automatic transcriptions developed. So it won't necessarily pick up exactly what your students are saying, especially if they're translanguaging and using various languages, but it can be a quick indicator of what's happening. So yeah, I think it's a good tool. We realized, though, as I mentioned, we needed to do a lot of scaffolding with the younger learners. So we recruited lots of volunteers because when we were working with sort of 6 to 8-year-olds, we found that we needed sort of one adult in the know for every 4 or 5 children, and that we couldn't dispatch them the way we did with junior or intermediate or senior students to work more independently with a tablet and with a series of prompts, that we really needed to be there and organize it. And we did a lot of, I guess the scaffolding looked like providing supports. In some cases, we would have a piece of paper with large lettering to remind them of the prompts, with their own pictures there to help them out, or a word wall, or we might even be helping them because they would be looking at us and saying, can you help me with a word? And so we tried to recruit multilingual volunteers so that we could do whispering to help them with finding the right words as they were doing the recording, because sometimes they wanted to make sure they would be understood by their English speaking teacher. So they didn't want to put in a word in another language, even though we told them it would be fine to do that. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, thank you. They were really cool. I can't wait to explore the website a little bit further.
If I may add something to the discussion, I think it's a very interesting question, but we have always been very cautious to certainly use it as a formative assessment, which is, for instance, if you are working on the concept of timeline, etc., you can see right away whether the students understood that, whatever the language they are using, by the way. So yes, as a formative assessment, but I'm not sure to which extent we could use it as a diagnostic or summative, certainly not summative assessment. But anyways, it's very interesting, for instance, to know things that you may not know, like whether the student can write in their own language, which is a very important information, because if they can write in their own language, they only need to transfer, even if it's another writing system, to transfer their skills to the new language. So yes, it is a very important, but most of that already, I guess. So I would say yes, as a formative assessment, certainly. And it also allows you to work, to differentiate between the students. That's really what we saw, Antoinette, right? Yeah.
Well, it was really interesting. While we were working with one group of middle schoolers, 6, 7s, and 8s, there were a few children who were added to the classroom. Of course, we didn't want to stop working with me mapping and our collaborating teachers. So we had to figure out ways to really be inclusive of some of these new arrivals who didn't speak any English or have even any literacy skills. So it was really interesting to explore translanguaging pedagogy in aid of identity-focused work with the students. And it really helped to build cohesion in the classroom, because you had students who became, of course, helpers for the newer students, and they were able to participate, but through other languages rather than English right away.
I think that there was another important aspect that you may not have mentioned, Antoinette, which is the fact that in this me mapping activity, we never corrected what the students would say or write, or we always accepted it as such. This was very important in this, I would say, experience of being acknowledged as we are, accepted as we are in this kind of encounter. Right, Antoinette?
Well, it's interesting because certainly during the recording process, which is probably the most stressful phase of, if you wish, a 3-phase lesson or workshop, we would not stop somebody and correct them. But as they were preparing, we would make ourselves available. So if they wanted to have a prompt to help themselves, it was going to be a bilingual prompt, or some image and they needed input with language, we certainly did a lot of linguistic scaffolding and learning to prepare. And then we encouraged, especially the junior, middle, or junior, intermediate, and senior students to do rehearsal. So as the students would be rehearsing and taking turns, actually being the listener versus the actor, we would roam around and be available to provide feedback. So sometimes it wasn't feedback necessarily on language, but it might be like, it's okay, you need to maybe speak a little louder, or actually look at the videographer holding the tablet, so that we don't just get you in this crouched position looking at your piece of paper, or turned against the wall looking at the chart of your timeline. So there were various opportunities to provide feedback, but as Emmanuel said, we would never critique language in action and say, you have to redo this and do another take because your subject-verb agreement wasn't correct. Any other questions or comments?
Antoinette, I don't have a question, but I do want to thank you for your time and for the presentation and sharing the details of this website. It has so many pieces that I'm sure many educators will enjoy going through and possibly using in their classroom, or hopefully using in their classrooms. And I want to thank your team that is behind all of this work. This isn't the work of one person, and Manuel for coming tonight, and definitely the team and the students that partook and were able to share their learning as part of this project. So thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and to all of the people that joined us this afternoon. I'm going to stop recording.